A very warm welcome to our viewers today for our literary program. Today with us we have a very young talent who's studying in her BA first year, and she has already published poems and also has published a book which is available in Amazon. A very warm welcome today. So tell me about how your journey began when you started, and how did you come about writing, and what inspired you. So let us start from the beginning. How and what inspired you?
Yeah, I started writing as a hobby actually. I did not have any intentions of, writing as taking up writing as a career, but I wanted just to keep it like a hobby and just keep it that way. But as soon as lockdown came, don't know, I kind of started taking up writing as a career.
Okay.
And so during lockdown, I found many inspirations, and mostly my dad was my inspiration because he has a newspaper, right? So he wanted us to write. He always encouraged us to write something, whether it is about life or about school or about anything else. He wanted us to write at least or read anything. So I started taking up writing as a career, and I started writing poetry, and slowly it became.
Okay, so your dad was an inspiration.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. So you started, you said during the lockdown, of course, lockdown has a lot of impact, and you were all locked down, and you
Yeah.
were confined into places. So when you said that you started or reading, or your dad encouraged you from young age.
Yes.
So were you just writing then, and then it became more formal writing, or when was it you consciously started actually writing and thinking of?
It was during lockdown that I started taking writing as as a serious thing, not only as a hobby anymore.
Okay. So when you said you started writing as a hobby, so were you writing poems then, or you were just like
Yeah,
having your
poems.
scribble thoughts?
Yes, scribble thoughts and mostly poems. I, I don't know what did I wrote those times. I wrote mostly, whatever came into my mind. I just scribble it down. It's just a hobby. I did not have any intentions of taking up writing as a career for myself.
So how does it feel now when you see yourself, of course, taking seriously, and you have published your poems in an anthology called, which is backed by Pocket, this thing,
Yes, writer's pocket.
Writer's Pocket. So how did you feel when it was published? Because I think that's something very encouraging, with especially when it comes to our youth. I'm sure they are also, because you're very young, and you, like you said, lockdown happened and you
Yeah.
started writing, and you've already published at a very young age. So for young people out there, I'm sure it is very, very inspiring, especially to young people who are already having the scribble thoughts and they want to write. So what would you think, and how did it feel when it first came and published? How did you feel, and what shaped those? What made you think that, okay, I'm ready to publish now?
It felt like a reward as soon as I got my book into my hands. I did not, I didn't have much intentions while writing the book, but as soon as the book was published and it got into my hands, that was when I realized that maybe I have done the greatest thing in taking up writing as a career for myself.
So how did it start, the writing about the books? What inspired you? You said lockdown, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be mundane or something which triggered you, besides your father's, encouraging you always, having himself printing, newspapers
Yes.
and all. So what were the idea behind, or what made you start writing regarding the book, the content?
It was mostly, it's about teenagers who live life recklessly, and some who live life accordingly to their parents' wish. I wrote about that in the book. Mostly it was about a teenager who lived life recklessly. So it's mostly to shape up the lives of the teenagers in our society, mostly because we tend to take up other people's opinions rather than our parents' opinions, right? So I wrote about that, and mostly it was about being influenced by bad things. So I concentrated on that. So maybe it was just about that.
See, so it's very interesting when you say teenage. Well, the name itself, it says Teenage Rebellion, and I'm sure a lot of young viewers are there which can relate to. So, would it be correct to say that a part of when you wrote, of course, you were a teenage then,
Yeah.
and when you started writing about it, so is it would it be correct to say that some of the things, of course, the inspiration might be from your peers,
Yeah.
but how much of your own experience was there?
Mostly it was of my own experience, I could say, and mostly it was of my sisters, because I have two sisters. They are also girls, so we can relate much, and we did a lot of bad things too as teenagers. So I wrote about that too, and mostly it was about me as my friends and my cousins. So I just mixed it all up, and wrote about I wrote all of those characters in one girl in the book. So it's just to give a slight picture to the readers, to relate of some of the characters that they can relate to. So it's not just that the girl is concentrating only in one character or only in one type of rebellion, but she the character in the book, she did a lot of things, and maybe some of the readers can relate to one of her
Aspect of.
Yes, yeah.
I think that's very nice, and I think people who have not, and now you know where the book is available, Teenage Rebellion. It is available in Amazon, so please go and buy and check it out. Because I'm like you, what you said, that it's your experience,
Yeah.
and I think I believe in a person is a sum total of their experience.
Yes.
We learn from our experience, be it mistakes, be it the right things. Like you
Yes.
said, when your book was published, that was the most satisfying thing, and you felt that confidence comes in, because as teenagers we have all gone through, even I can relate, we've all gone through that teenage aspect of our lives where you're still figuring things out,
Yeah.
and it's a trial by method, and of course you're not the cool gang
Yeah.
if you don't do certain things, and the peer pressure
Yeah.
play a very, especially in today's society where social media has become the end all of it,
Yeah.
where everyone is judged by how many likes you are, which is very unfortunate, the culture now.
Yes.
So I think it is very important that and very poignant that you've put it across the book. And what you rightly said, I think especially younger lot, and even parents can actually read the book and see, yes, these are the mistakes, and most importantly, I think learning from a mistake
Yeah.
is more important. So through that journey of yours, for how many years did you actually clubbed into, have to say, in the book, when you talk about your journey or your friend's journey? Is the entirety of the growing years, or it's just like one aspect, like in say just
It wasn't that long, because I wrote my book only for about 8 to 10 months. Then it got published. But in the process of writing it, I had to look back right from my age, right from when I was 10 or 11 maybe. Then I took some of the important ones, not all, but the funny ones or the important ones, the mistakes that we learn most during our growing days. I pick up those, not literally all, but a little
Right.
bit.
Would you kindly just read some experts from your book, so that even our readers can relate to
Yes.
a little bit of lines?
Yes.
Could you kindly do that?
Yes. It's from my prologue, the very first of the book. I've written, some could relate to this. There are 4 points in this book, and I think that all the teenagers should, should consider all of these things. Like, people always change no matter what. You cannot control your heart no matter how smart you are. At the end of the day, you've only got yourself, and that's okay. And yes, if you want to rebel, rebel, but don't let your rebellion affect others. These are the 4 points that I've learned most in my
Right,
life.
beautiful. So I'm sure our young readers, would relate to what you've just read, and I hope they read the book. So when we talk about your journey and your father's inspiration, being the inspiration, so he calculated that from young, and was it a conscious effort on your part, or to write, and or you just felt, okay, my father's inspiring and he's been there, so I should take up that?
Maybe that is the thing. because he did not know that I could write. He didn't know until I showed him this. It wasn't published at that time, but I've shown him the contract that I've had with this publishing house, and he was shocked. Obviously, he told me that, "Oh, I did not know that you know how to write and you can write well." Then I said, maybe you are the inspiration, right? Then he was mocking me, like saying, you should write about me too. He said that.
Yeah.
So he did not really thought that this would become real. He thought that it was just, because anything could happen through social media, right? And he only took up social media as the bad influence. So he did
Right.
not,
So I think this also says, like I was saying just now to our viewers also, that social media plays such an important role in either shaping positively or negatively. And teenage rebellion, especially in today's world, when you talk about it, social media is one platform, and I think that's where the fear of parents come in, that how our children are using it. Of course, I'm sure, like you said, they'll be relatable when it comes to what you've written there, but also I think they can take back that what not to do.
Yes.
If they have not done something, it's for our young viewers out there, so you can relate to and say what not to do, what you should not repeat. While reading it, I'm sure you'll realize that these are things, oh, okay, I have done, oh, these are things I should avoid doing. So I think that's also a learning process for you. And usually when a person writes and you're reliving your experience, so it's like a reminder that, okay, these are the things I've done. So now that you've already published a book and your poems are there, what else are your dreams, and how do you foresee yourself?
I plan on writing more and more books relatable to most of teenagers, yes. Because I can see our generation, my generation, most of our teenagers don't really read books anymore.
Yes, that's a very, very, because they would rather have a digital format of it. So that's another thing which I wanted to ask you, that in today's world where, like you said, your generation is more into, say, Kindle or more audiobooks.
Yes.
So going into the print media of it, getting it a book actually printed in a paperback, do you think the younger lot has reached or will read, or your friends have read the book?
Most of my friends did not even bought my book. They told me honestly.
Yes.
It wasn't that bad when they told me honest. When they were being honest, I said, maybe if I were not the one who wrote this book, I would not even read it. Yeah, because I could see that my generation would never want to read books anymore. They would rather have audiobooks.
Yes. Are you thinking of, since you write, you can have you ever thought of, since you said like you the young people to relate to, especially it is important when you are as an artist, you can call yourself an artist in a literary sense of it. So do you think in today's digital world, when you said you want to write books, first my question would be, you said something relatable. So like these have been your experiences which you have written about, but now your next books, anything which you're writing, would it be like from your experiences, or would you what are your thoughts on that, or would you like to take up topics per se, or you would be like what you shared in your experiences? So which way would you like to go about it?
That's the thing about writing. You can become another person. You should not be, cannot always be the only person. I could not always be that. I can always be someone else too. I could write things I could write things based from my sister's point of view. That's the thing about writing. So my next book would be mostly my own experiences, and I can also put myself in other people's shoes and write more about what they can see, how they view life. Because I want to write about my father's point of view of life, because he always looked things at the brighter side. He never looked things in the darker side, and maybe I can put myself in his shoes and be like my dad. and I could also write about him like that. I plan to do that.
Okay, so basically you want to write from one A, you want to write from your own experience. It's more
Yes.
like a journaling process
Yeah.
which you want to do and which you want to like write it down in a
Yes.
form of book. And the other is like your father was telling you, why don't you write about me? So
Yeah.
I think that's really got to you. So you want to write now from his point of
Yes.
view, or what are his view thoughts? Would it be more like something like an like an interviewing kind of thing, or just the thoughts or how he has been as a person from your perspective, how you see your dad?
No, maybe I'll take up his good things and maybe a little bit of bad things, because that's how people will, you know, will be interested in. If there were more mistakes about mistakes and more stories about mistakes, people tend to look more in our mistakes rather in our, in our proud moment, like
So it's more
mostly.
candid.
Yeah.
What you're trying to say, that you want to have those all those candid,
Mm.
genuine moments,
Yes.
either bad or good, but to write it in a more candid
Yeah,
and
I don't
genuine
want to
way.
make it up. Yeah.
Yes, so more in a genuine way. So, like you said, your own friends have, because yes, in a today's generation, unfortunately, we have brightest of talent, young talents, but the problem is that they are more into digital aspect of it,
Yes.
audio of it. So, do you think that, or would you rather relate to? Because if what you're writing, they know what they can relate to, but if they're not reading it, then it becomes, something which you're putting your views across is not. It's not being able to absorb.
Yes.
So today with our program also, I hope they at least go through all this generation, or at least the parents buy the book. But having said that, are you thinking now, since you've already seen with your publishing and how, not only that, the concept of like what you said with your own personal
Yes.
experience again, that paper book is only has become more like an old school
Yes.
kind of thing,
Thank
until
you.
unless you're an old soul.
Yes. Yes.
By old I don't mean like an old as in
Yeah.
generation, but old school thought, or old soul, so that
Yes.
you
Yes.
like the smell of paper, then you're picking up. So are you, when you're writing about your next books and poems in future, are you planning to make it into audios or something in a digital form?
No, my book also have a digital form in Google,
Okay.
in Google ebook, but I don't really encourage ebook, because when you read something, you have to have that passion of reading. You have to have the book in your hand and imagine some
Right.
things. And my generation, we all have young authors online. We have more, but to really publish a book like me, it's not really, it's not very common, because most of my friends write fan fictions. They write it online and they can publish it through Wattpad or something like that. But I don't encourage that, because when you write things online, people tend to, they will say that they stole it from someone, or they just pick it up from someone's post, and they post it on themselves,
Right.
like that. So anything online could also be not good.
No, that is something we're talking about, plagiarism, which, of course, there's a copyright thing which you can get. And of course, see, even for this, also the publisher has the copyrights.
Yes.
So, of course, that is more, I mean, that's like more tangible. But then, even with online content nowadays, it's like, until unless you're blogging, and you have to be very sure. That is also
Yes.
one part when you put out your digital, say, anything write up or pictures, anything, it's very important to get it copyrighted.
Yes.
So that is also for the youngsters to know also.
To know, yeah.
So that is also very important, what you've said, yes, because sometimes you put up content as young people which you don't know, and your material could be stolen. So yes, that is something, young viewers, I hope if you're writing your thoughts in blogs, you can take that as a part of it, saying that get yourself copyrighted. I think that is very, very important. So have you already started working on something?
Yes, I've started recently, just recently. If I got inspiration from anything, I always kind of scribble my thoughts in, and just like I used to as a hobby. And
Right.
now I'm taking it much more like seriously, not just as a hobby anymore. So I've started writing, scribbling down in my journal.
So, before we conclude, Abe, would you like to read a few lines from a poem? That will be lovely for our viewers. Could you do that, please? Thank you so much.
Okay, this poem is from Whispers of the Dandelions. It's an anthology from Writer's Pocket, and my poem is the last one. It's on 135. My poem is 135, and the name of the poem is A Poetry to Oneself. Some say life is like a chore. You wake up, do your task, finish it, and end it with a good night's sleep. Some say life is a journey. Travel some part of the world, discover something new and learn. But life, oh life, is something real. Describe an old man who have lived for years. Life is something unpredictable, said a young girl. You plan another, but life makes you take another. Life is like a drama where you can lead it yourself, said another teeny little girl, where she plans to lead a life so extraordinary, so different from the world. Life, yes, life is what we all living souls have. Life to live, doing and thinking what's best.
Thank you. I think these are beautiful lines, and just few words to our young viewers out there who are aspiring to be writers, poetess. What would be your parting words of wisdom for them, for the young artists out there?
I always say this to my friends, not to anybody, but now to all the viewers out there who wants to take up writing as a career, just like I did. Life is really unpredictable. It's like a movie, it's like a drama. You can do whatever you want as long as you're living. Just, jump first and think, not just let your thoughts into run wild or something, because if you just think and not do something, life won't reward you with anything. So whatever they want to do, whatever you're really wanting to do in life, just go for it, because life will never offer you a second chance.
I think that's very, 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 very poignant thoughts, because I think, yes, we have young people there where, or we are scared to jump.
Yes.
So I think what you said, that just jump and, put your words into action, put your thoughts into action, write them, curate them, and then you can go about it. So I think that's a very important. I hope our young viewers are listening to this, because I think it's very, very important when we think, when we're always thinking and not putting action. What you said, life never gives us a second chance, especially in today's time where life is so fragile. With a blink of an eye, you don't know what's next. So yes, be yourself, write your thoughts, or poetry. If you're writing, you're into poetry, please write, and curate them, so that you never know what life holds, and go for it. Feel inspired from what you said, with your own experiences, from around observation. And thank you so much for being a part of our program, and I hope our young people are inspired to see that even your own experiences make a lot when you put it in words, when you're inspiring to be. Thank you so much once again, and also to all our young people and our viewers out there. Thank you.